And I've always liked LeBron, but him being a bully, it turned me off, Dan. Going on Pat's show just bullying people. Because, LeBron, he's a control freak. He knows everything he's doing.
The basketball world loves a heated debate, but this time the conversation jumped far beyond stats, rings, or the endless GOAT arguments. A fresh wave of controversy erupted after NBA legend Charles Barkley delivered some unusually sharp criticism aimed directly at LeBron James. And according to many fans, this wasn't just another routine sports debate. Barkley has always been outspoken. Over the years, he has consistently defended Michael Jordan whenever the greatest of all time discussion pops up. That part isn't new. What shocked people this time was how personal his comments sounded. During a recent media discussion, Barkley suggested that LeBron sometimes behaves like someone trying to control the entire narrative around him. He described the situation in blunt terms, implying that LeBron pressures people around the league and within media circles. Coming from someone who previously praised LeBron's talent and longevity, the shift in tone caught many observers off guard. For decades, Barkley respected LeBron as one of the greatest athletes the game has ever seen. But the way he framed this criticism made it seem like his opinion of the person behind the superstar had changed dramatically. And the reaction across basketball media was immediate. Soon another legendary voice entered the conversation, Scottie Pippen. Pippen, who has had his own complicated history with modern NBA debates, added his perspective with comments that many fans interpreted as subtle criticism toward LeBron as well. Suddenly the discussion felt less like a single opinion and more like a growing chorus from older NBA icons. Now the big question circulating across sports shows and social media is simple. Why is LeBron suddenly facing this wave of criticism from players who once praised him? To understand the moment, you have to go back to an appearance LeBron made earlier in 2025 on Pat McAfee's show. During that interview, LeBron openly addressed several media narratives surrounding his career. He pushed back strongly against criticism from well-known sports commentators, including Stephen A. Smith. He also referenced coverage from Brian Windhorst, a longtime reporter who has followed LeBron's journey since his high school days in Akron. LeBron's tone in that appearance was direct and unapologetic. He argued that some coverage of his career has crossed the line from analysis into personal criticism. For many fans, it felt like a superstar finally speaking his mind. But not everyone saw it that way. Some former players viewed the comments as unnecessary attacks on journalists who have spent decades covering the league. That difference in perspective appears to be what triggered the latest back and forth between generations of NBA voices. So now the debate has shifted from basketball greatness to something deeper. The relationship between modern superstars, the media, and the legends who built the league before them. Is this simply strong criticism from outspoken former players? Or is it another chapter in the ongoing clash between the NBA's old guard and its modern era?
I seen Brian Windhorst on one of these shows not too long ago. Says he's like my fucking best friend. These guys are just weird.
When LeBron James publicly called out members of the sports media, the ripple effects spread fast across the NBA world. For many fans, it looked like just another superstar pushing back against criticism. But to some longtime observers of the league, it crossed a line. One of the loudest responses came from Charles Barkley. After watching the situation unfold, Barkley later sat down with Dan Patrick and delivered a blunt assessment that instantly went viral across sports talk shows and social media. Barkley's blunt take. During the conversation, Barkley didn't hide how he felt about the situation. He argued that attacking journalists personally, especially ones who have covered the league for decades, was unnecessary. Barkley essentially said that when you're a superstar at LeBron's level, criticism comes with the territory. In his view, players can disagree with media narratives, but publicly targeting individual reporters can create unnecessary drama. The TNT analyst also suggested that great players should focus on their game rather than trying to control every story written about them. It was classic Barkley, direct, unapologetic, and delivered with zero sugarcoating. Why this moment felt different? Barkley has criticized LeBron before, often during GOAT debates involving Michael Jordan. But this situation felt more personal. Instead of debating championships or statistics, The conversation shifted to character and leadership. And once those topics enter the discussion, the reactions from fans and former players tend to get much stronger. The bigger generational tension. Moments like this highlight a deeper divide between two eras of basketball culture. Older legends like Barkley believe criticism from media and fans is simply part of the job. Modern stars like LeBron often push back harder when they feel coverage becomes unfair or personal. Neither side sees the issue the same way, which is why these clashes keep happening. Why the story keeps trending. LeBron is one of the most influential athletes in sports history. Anytime he challenges the media or gets challenged by Hall of Fame voices like Barkley, it instantly becomes a major NBA storyline. And because both personalities are outspoken, the debate rarely stays quiet for long.
They both had an awful week. LeBron, he's too big to be that type of bully. To bully Stephen A. and to bully Brian Windhorst. Brian Windhorst is a sweet person, man. He's just trying to do his thing. And I've always liked LeBron, but him being a bully, it turned me off, Dan.
When Charles Barkley finally spoke his mind, it was clear he had been holding those thoughts in for a while. And when the words came out, they were anything but gentle. The Hall of Famer didn't try to soften the message or hide behind polite language. What made the moment even more surprising is that Barkley had spent years showing respect for LeBron James as a player. In countless debates on television, he defended LeBron's talent and achievements. When other former players criticized LeBron too harshly, Barkley often stepped in and reminded people just how dominant his career has been. But this time, the tone changed completely. Speaking on national television, Barkley described LeBron's behavior in a way that stunned viewers. He didn't question LeBron's scoring ability, his championships, or his basketball IQ. Instead, he focused on attitude and personality. Barkley said the way LeBron handles criticism and confronts people publicly has started to bother him. That's what made the moment feel different from a normal sports debate. This wasn't about missed shots or playoff performances. Barkley made it clear that his issue wasn't with LeBron the athlete, but with what he believes LeBron's public behavior has become. To Barkley, the problem wasn't basketball decisions. It was how power and influence were being used. For fans watching the interview, the message sounded less like analysis and more like disappointment. After years of respect for LeBron's greatness on the court, Barkley seemed to be saying something had changed in the way he now views the man behind the jersey. And when a respected legend publicly shifts his stance like that, it doesn't stay quiet for long. The comments quickly spread across sports media, sparking fresh debate about leadership, criticism, and how modern superstars handle the spotlight.
And Stephen A. is a good dude, man. For him to react, LeBron, like I say, I blame him for starting the bullying, going on Pat's show just bullying people. Because, LeBron, he's a control freak. He knows everything he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows everything he's doing. He knew when he walked up to Stephen A. what he was doing.
And Barkley wasn't done. He hit harder, calling LeBron a control freak. According to him, nothing LeBron does happens by accident. Every move, every camera moment, all of it's calculated. Barkley believes when LeBron walked up on Stephen A. Smith courtside at that Lakers game, it wasn't just some random moment. He knew exactly what he was doing, sending a message, trying to intimidate, trying to show power. Barkley said it straight. He's not having it. But here's where things really start to connect, because this isn't Barkley suddenly turning on LeBron out of nowhere. Nope. This has been brewing for years. This is the newest chapter in a story Barkley's been quietly building about LeBron for over a decade. When you look back at everything he said, it paints a brutal picture. Not about LeBron's stats or skills, but about something way deeper. See, Barkley's never doubted LeBron's talent. That's obvious. But he's always questioned his fire, his mentality. That killer instinct that separates good players from true legends. To Barkley, there's something missing inside LeBron's competitive DNA. Something that players like MJ, Kobe, and even Larry Bird lived for. Back in May 2023 on the Spit and Chicklets podcast, Barkley broke it down clearer than ever. He said, "There's a difference between being great and being relentless." And in his eyes, LeBron falls short on that second one. He doesn't see the same obsession, the same willingness to sacrifice everything for the win that the old school icons had. Barkley practically said LeBron's greatness is built on control, not passion. And now, in 2025, it feels like Barkley's patience finally ran out. The respect he once had gone, the admiration replaced by frustration. Barkley made it loud and clear. He doesn't recognize the man LeBron's become anymore. Something deep has shifted, and with more legends speaking up, the question now is, has LeBron's legacy finally hit a point where even his biggest supporters can't defend him anymore? LeBron James got hit with another verbal knockout, and this one hurt worse than ever. Charles Barkley didn't just question LeBron's game, he went after his mentality.
First of all, they're three of the greatest players ever. But LeBron's a nice guy. Nobody ever said that shit about Michael and Kobe. Nobody ever said, man, that Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, they're nice guys. Nobody ever said that shit. Michael and Kobe, they were dangerous. They'd kill your ass. LeBron's great, but he's a nice guy.
According to Charles Barkley, one phrase can sound friendly on the surface, but carry a very different meaning in the culture of old-school basketball. During the conversation, Barkley described LeBron James as a nice guy. At first glance, that might seem like a compliment. But among many former stars from earlier generations, that label often suggests something else entirely. In the era shaped by relentless competitors like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, greatness was often tied to a ruthless edge. The most feared players weren't just talented. They carried an intensity that opponents could feel the moment they stepped on the court. For those legends, the mindset was simple: dominate the moment and never show weakness. The reputation alone could make rivals uneasy before the opening tip. That's why Barkley's comment quickly caught attention online. To many listeners, calling someone nice in that context sounded less like praise and more like a subtle critique. It suggested that the killer instinct, the cold, competitive fire that defined past icons, might not be the first trait people associate with LeBron. And Barkley didn't stop there. During that same podcast appearance, he delivered another remark that instantly grabbed headlines and sent social media into overdrive. The line spread rapidly across sports platforms, fueling fresh debate about competitive mentality, leadership styles, and how different generations of NBA superstars approach the game. Basketball fire.
To learn to be competitive, because the killer instinct is not something like I've never, and Michael was one of my best friends ever, and I got to know Kobe a little bit. They will kill you to win. LeBron, he wants to win. But LeBron at the end of the day is a really nice guy. So you can't learn to be a natural born killer.
You can't simply teach someone to have a killer instinct. That was the clear message delivered by Charles Barkley, and it became the centerpiece of his criticism. In his view, the most feared competitors in basketball history were wired that way from the beginning. They didn't develop that edge later. They were born with it. Barkley pointed to legends like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant as examples of players who carried that relentless fire every single night. According to him, their intensity wasn't something learned in practice or built through training. It was part of who they were from day one, a mindset that pushed them to dominate the biggest moments. That's where his comments about LeBron James became controversial. Barkley argued that no matter how many seasons LeBron plays or how many awards he collects, that particular edge, the cold-blooded instinct many associate with past icons, simply isn't the first trait people connect with his game. If those words had only come from Barkley, many fans might have brushed them aside as just another opinion. Critics could easily say he was stirring debate or chasing headlines. But the situation became far more intense when another legendary figure stepped into the conversation. Earlier this year, Scottie Pippen added his voice to the discussion. The six-time champion, famous for being Jordan's closest teammate during the Chicago Bulls dynasty, shared his own thoughts during an appearance on Patrick Bet-David's show, the PBD podcast. Pippen's perspective immediately carried weight because he witnessed championship pressure from the inside. He spent years competing at the highest level and understands exactly what it takes to build a dynasty. When someone with that background speaks about greatness and leadership, people across the basketball world listen closely. His remarks quickly fueled another round of debate across sports media and social platforms. Fans and analysts began comparing different eras again, questioning how modern superstars stack up against the legendary figures who defined previous generations. Suddenly, what started as a single criticism had turned into something much bigger. Multiple Hall of Fame voices were now weighing in, and the discussion about legacy, mindset, and competitive identity was once again dominating the basketball conversation. Basketball fire.